we go again. Today begins what is probably going to end up being the toughest trip of my life. If you've seen my previous videos and you thought Mauritania or the Middle East or even the last go in China was hard work, then this one's on a different scale entirely. Logistically, politically, even weather-wise, this one promises to be pretty tricky, but if it all goes to plan, it's going to be phenomenal. We'll get into the details a little bit later on. For now, we're kicking off in my beloved Kashgar, even if eerily quiet it seems. If you saw the last string of China videos, you'll know I fell in love with this place. This is in the west part of China, in the Xinjiang province. It really is a wonderful part of the country and also very well located, geographically speaking, to kick off proceedings. The whole place is just full of these quaint, colourful, really cool, decorated alleyways. I mean, look at this one. It's like photo shoot central. You just have random corners tucked away in the streets of just stuff like this. It's absolutely brilliant. And you get loads of these random walls of like gigantic vases, cartwheels, all this, I don't even know, just cool woodwork stuff, just kind of dotted around the place. And they really like decorating walls with carpets, little rugs, all these traditional fabrics and patterns everywhere. It's absolutely mint. And by the way, in case you're wondering whether this is all just like one big film set, like a big tourist attraction, all of these carpet decorated alleyways, this is actually all residential. Behind curtains like this, I don't want to open it, but there's someone's door behind there, and they all live all amongst it. There's another one here, look, that's where people go behind that curtain, go into their house, and they do actually live behind there. Imagine this being your street at home. All these really cool tapestries, all these framed bits of fabric for whatever reason. I don't really know the roots of all this, why they do it this way in particular, but what I can say is it is completely different to anything you're going to see anywhere else in the country. If you are looking at coming to China, it is absolutely worth adding to your itinerary. It will be nothing like you've seen anywhere else. I think around here I can hear our mate from last time playing his tunes from upstairs. And we're back in the centre of Kashgar, the main square of the city. Sat in front of this, the Idkar Mosque. This funky, yellow, fascinating piece of architecture is something I covered at length in a previous video. And by the way, if you do want to see more about Kashgar, more facts, more history, more sites, I have made a few videos when I've been here in the past, just a few months ago. Actually, they'll be on the channel somewhere under a China playlist, I hope. Feel free to go and have a look if you do want a bit more detail about the place after you've seen this one. This one is more a brief introduction and a bit more about the impending trip, which we will touch on shortly. As the main square of the city, there is an awful lot going on. They've got camels just dotted all over the shop. There are stalls, there are horses, it's all a bit of a social space. And yeah, cracking day to be out and about in it. Here's something we didn't see last time. There is, for one reason or another, an old train just sat in the middle of the town. Absolutely no idea of the significance. These food markets make an interesting talking point though, because they seem surprisingly active given that we're in a Muslim part of the world and the country, and it's Ramadan and it's still daylight. I'm fasting for Ramadan, I always do. I'm not a Muslim, but I do it anyway, and I think it's brilliant for a lot of reasons, but no one here seems to be. A lot of people that appear to be locals are eating, drinking and smoking as normal. If you're not familiar, Ramadan is a month of fasting, kind of daylight hours, but a bit longer. And it's one of the pillars of Islam. It's really important for Muslims to do it as long as they're able-bodied and not too young or too old. And it seems like it's been skipped here. It's interesting. I don't know if Uyghurs normally fast or whatever, but just an observation really. I'm really hungry and I've got to abstain from eating all this. And a lot of people just seem to be tucking in as though it's a normal day. Anyway, let's escape the scram until it is actually time to eat in a couple of hours or so. It all does smell really good out there. I like the Uyghur cuisine, but we'll partake later on. Let's go and talk about this trip, shall we? Welcome to my humble abode. This is what you get for £8 English pounds for a night. It's alright really. It's clean, comfortable. £8. It's actually the price for 2 people, this, but I'm only one, so it would be £4 each for a room like this. Cannot complain. So, shall we have a look at the trip? I'll try and keep this brief, but I want to be clear in my intention, so if something goes wrong, you know that I had the right idea at least. So anyway, we're starting today. This is China, it's massive. We're in Kashgar currently. That's over here. Tomorrow morning, we're going to try and find our way to Tashkurgan, which is a really hard town to find because it's tiny and no one ever goes. There it is. There's Tashkurgan. It's really little, and you only go to Tashkurgan if you're going to cross one of 2 borders, Pakistan or Tajikistan. In our case, it's Pakistan. We're going to give that one a go because it could be the coolest border crossing in the world. You travel down here. Tashkurgan, by the way, serves as the last customs post, even though it's all this way down to the dotted line of the actual border. The customs is up here somewhere because there's no other civilization on the way. So get to this dotted line. This is the highest border crossing in the world. It's 15,000 feet up. It's called the Kashgar Pass. It gets extremely cold, as you can imagine, and it is really close to a lot of the world's highest peaks. You've got K2 just over here, so everything's really high and really snowy, especially this time of year. Anyway, as long as we avoid any weather issues, we'll be into northeast Pakistan. Loads of mountainy, cool looking places here, like Hunza, Sost, Skardu. We'll see what's what when we get there. I don't know what happens in Pakistan. Probably going to be pretty tricky, but we'll get there. All being well, we then go down to Islamabad, to the capital city, into Peshawar, try and get our Afghanistan visa in Peshawar. I am told that is a possibility. This border to go to Afghanistan is currently closed, has been closed for a couple of weeks, so we need that to open in time. And then if that opens, then we're into Afghanistan and we are free to roam, hopefully, to a range of places over there and see what's going on, especially during Ramadan. It should be extremely cool. Anyway, that is the idea. China, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Fingers crossed. Right then, day 2 and the first day of travelling on this possible China to Afghanistan journey, trying to find a way to Tashkurgan. So up bright and early, kind of. It's 9:30, but technically 7:30 for the locals. There are no official buses to Tashkurgan because, like I said, it is a place that no one ever visits. But I am under the impression that there are some blokes that drive minibuses that way. So we're going to go have a look if we can find a way there. This whole thing about Xinjiang having 2 time zones is actually really confusing for this exact situation. It's nearly 10 o'clock in the morning, about 9:45. The sun is only just coming up. And so they have an unofficial time zone in Xinjiang because it's so far west that it has to be really 2 hours behind to match the actual daylight hours. So people still go to work 9 until 5, let's say. But it does mean that when someone says, oh, there might be a bus leaving at about 10, you don't know if that means 10 o'clock official Chinese time, which is 8 o'clock Xinjiang time, or if it means 10 o'clock Xinjiang time and therefore 12 Beijing time. So anyway, we're just going to have to go and find out. I'm actually going to get a taxi to this spot because it is bloody freezing. Thank you. There you go, 50p for a taxi that saved me a half an hour walk. I think we'd have an even unhealthier population in England if taxis were that cheap. Tashkurgan? Yes. Now? How much? 多少钱? 120. 120. 120. Okay. So that was us agreeing a price of 120, so 12 quid. It's a pretty good price, and then you get bundled into his minivan. Just for clarity, this is what the so-called bus station looks like. It's a group of blokes waiting to fill up their vans and then drive you somewhere. So you wait until it's full. It's a very Central Asian type situation, but by 10:30 Beijing time, we were on the road and ready for Tashkurgan, except we stopped immediately in this dusty looking car park area for what I can only imagine are vehicle checks of some kind. Bossman wanted some window wiper action. I've got absolutely no idea what this was about or if it's normal, but eventually you're off again and you fly in until you stop in, well, whatever this is. So we've just pulled into this, well, another one of these dusty car parks and been kicked out, I think, while the van goes in to get petrol. Maybe we're not allowed into petrol stations. No idea, but those mountains over there, we're going up them or through them. Whatever we're doing, it's going to get colder. We're going that way. So finally on our way, and started off strong with the scenery, but wait until you see how mental the landscape gets. But first of all, our passenger is going to get a fine from the police. I've got no idea what for. He must have done something that did their head in, got a ticket, and then we carried on. And my word, look at this. This is how it begun. And it only got more and more dramatic as time went on. The rivers, the giant mountains, every direction for the entire journey was like this. This road is called the China-Pakistan Friendship Highway, and it has to be one of the most magnificent roads I've ever seen. And for the entire 6 or so hours that this journey eventually took, impossible to take your eyes off the scenery. Tried to stay awake. Usually I fall asleep at these really easily, but kept awake by, regular passport checks. I had to keep getting out and giving my passport and having everything checked because I'm not Chinese. And then I started to wonder how these tunnels avoid collapsing, being under the weight of that mammoth. But anyway, we went through quite a few of these and we got through them unscathed. Out the other side of, every time, every second of this journey was absolutely unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this, not for this long. And then there was a giant lake that was all frozen. It was that cold. God, it's cold. Quick little pit stop. Look at all this. Look at this landscape. It's like a different planet. I can't really tell you where we are, how high up we are, or what the temperature is, but it must be minus 10, 15, I don't know. Absolutely freezing. I mean, understandably so. We're amid some snow-capped mountains in the far, far west of China. There were some frozen lakes on the way. There's one here. These lakes are massive. That's how cold it is. Lakes, bodies of water that big, can actually freeze. We're a few hours in. They've all just jumped in to get something to eat or drink. I still can't. A couple of hours to go onwards. This is one of those lakes. Looks like it goes on for miles. Frozen, absolutely solid. I'm in the back of this van, a bit hungry, a bit thirsty, wondering if I am actually the only person in all of Xinjiang to be fasting. And then we hit a roadblock of horses. I've seen sheep, I've seen cows block a road before, but never wild horses. So that was actually a pretty cool thing to be delayed for. Not like the passport checks. This is number million. It's me and 2 blokes from Tajikistan that keep doing these. They're about to jump out of the border anyway, so then it's going to be just me. And this is what these places look like on the inside. They're absolutely dead. I'm now the last one left to get these checks at passport places, but we're nearly there. I really, really need a wee, which is funny really, because 1, I've not been able to drink anything, and 2, in this weather, I don't even know if I've still got an appendage to wee from. We're nearly there. Right, job done, hopefully for the last time. Come on, really need a wee. Made it to Tashkurgan. Look at that for a backdrop. Probably one of the best bus journeys of my life. It was comfortable, it was easy, the landscapes were absolutely magnificent, and it's brought me to a place as far-flung as this. I was considering flying. It's only about 40 quid to fly from Kashgar to Tashkurgan. Takes about 45 minutes or half an hour or something. I'm very glad that I didn't. That was brilliant. There were a lot more passport checks than I expected, but nobody asked for a permit or a visa for Pakistan, which is usually, at least according to the few resources that I found, usually that is what you need. No one was bothered, just a lot of contact details, a lot of passport stops, and we're here. We've made it. Christmas trees, look at that. I know we've been looking at snowy mountains all day from all different angles, but I'm not getting bored of it. I can't take my eyes off it at the side. Look at it, just towering over the town. Magnificent. This might end up being quite an underwhelming comparison, but I feel like this is what South Park is like. Of all places, that's what comes to mind. Anyway, I certainly am not underwhelmed. This is a beautiful, beautiful part of the world, and only goes to strengthen my love for this province. Xinjiang is unbelievable. Saw a bit yesterday in Kashgar, and you can see more in other videos. And we'll have a proper look around Tashkurgan tomorrow. But what a region. What a brilliant, vast, natural, diverse, just part of the country. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But in terms of travelling, there you have part one. We've traversed a bit of the China-Pakistan Friendship Highway. There's a bit more to go when we cross the border. The journey from China to hopefully Afghanistan is officially underway. I hope the weather stays like this for tomorrow. This is stunning. I know it's cold, but look, I'm prepared. I've got gloves for once. I'm actually a little bit prepared for a trip for the first time in a long time. So yeah, fingers crossed for a bit more of this. Stunning. Anyway, for now, hotel, recuperate, back out later for a bit of scran when the sun goes down. What a place. What a place. That might be the smallest dog in the world. It's also the first dog of the trip, and that one didn't even try and attack me, so that makes a nice change. So we're back at it. As you can see, the sun is going down. The rules of Ramadan are when the sun has set, you can eat and drink as much as you want, and I am quite a dry, thirsty man at this altitude, also quite peckish. So mooching into the town, or what I think is the town centre, kind of where we arrived earlier, and see what's what. Look at it. Look at it. I think this is the high street, the busiest part of the town. I think this is about as populated as it gets. Really not an awful lot going on, I've got to say. I think we'll have to just take a lucky guess at whatever we see open at this point. I've not eaten all day, so I can't really afford to miss the opportunity now. How about this place? That's got meat on a stick. There's some people in there. Let's give it a go. All I can say is this turned out to be one of the best snap decisions I've ever made in my life. It all looks pretty unassuming. You get some tea on arrival. It's pretty nice, start to rehydrate. The chaps on the table next to me took it into a bottle of whatever spirit that is, and I'm trying to work out the menu with Google Translate, which, as always, is a brilliant tool for this kind of situation. To be honest, everything on the menu looked good. I wanted some protein, some vegetables, some like reasonably healthy scran, and a bit of a range to kind of refuel after fasting for the day, and this is what I ended up with. I had this scrambled egg with tomato thing, this stir-fry noodle with whatever meat that is, and I went in for the meat first, and you'll see by my face, I wanted to die. It was incredible. And then more food arrived, so this is the total spread. Nondescript meat stir-fry, scrambled egg with tomatoes, onions, all sorts, and obviously the traditional meat stick. We had one of these in Kashgar.
Very similar type deal. Did I overorder? Yes. Was I going to put my life on the line to try and finish it? Yes. Honestly, these noodles were the best thing I've eaten for such a long time. The meat was phenomenal. It was all, I don't even know what sauce it was in. It was, yeah, remarkable. I tried to hoover this up, and before I got full, wanted to try the egg thing. The egg thing overperformed big time. The texture was, as you can see now, yeah, that is how it felt to eat. It was incredible. So, bit of protein in there, a few vegetables. It's just a whole mix of, hopefully, healthy scran, but also incredibly satisfying to eat. And not to forget the meat stick. But this had like extra spices on it. This had like mint and some other stuff on it that made it way better than the other ones I've had elsewhere in Xinjiang. So currently we're on a 3 out of 3. As you can see as well, it's on the same stick type style as I had before in Kashgar. But eventually it was unfortunate, but I was about to burst. I gave it a good go. Here's what I was left with. I had a good go at the noodles. The egg stuff was a lot heavier than I expected, but again, really satisfying, really filling. The meat stick, I had a go, but yeah, it's a lot of food that. It's a lot of food for one person. It's a feast for someone that's not eaten all day. Let's just put it like that. Tried to wash it down with some tea, went back for seconds on the lamb thing. Yeah, 3 things, all top tier.
My word, I am not exaggerating when I say that is the best food I've ever had in China. Bearing in mind I spent a month here in the past in all different provinces. That was unbelievable. It's probably the best food I've had in recent memory. That's not just coming from a place of hunger. Maybe it is. That was unbelievable. What a good shout that turned out to be. Total cost of all that's 2 main courses, a stick of meat and endless tea, 77. That's somewhere between 7.5 and 8 English pounds. I would pay that every day if it was available to me. That is, good scran. Really good scran.
Now then, Chief. He's an happy chap. What do you want? He wants my sleeve. Right, you can pack that in. Now then.
Okay, so now I have been attacked by a dog. I just went in a shop on my way back to get some supplies for the morning for pre-sunrise scran, and this dog really took a liking to me. This little, I don't know, golden retriever type thing with little legs. He was quite happy to see me. Anyway, there you go. That's Xinjiang for you, the start of the trip. And if that's how it's begun, then I'm optimistic about this one. What a phenomenal way to kick it off. I'm actually going to feel pretty bad about leaving China. Obviously I've loved the past couple of days here, if you can't tell, but there is a long way to go, lots more to see. Let's have it. Cheers chaps, in a bit.